Everybody to the TideCast. This is episode number 8, which is absolutely insane. I cannot believe that we are almost 10 episodes into this. It's been about maybe 4 months since we started. So really, I mean, it's crazy how far we've really come in this. But yeah, I think there's been a lot of great games. Week 1 showed a lot of improvement from past seasons. We in total had 7 games played out of the 8 that were scheduled, and basically overall, it was really good to see all these games. 3 4v4s, that's absolutely insane. That's incredible. And then 4 3v3s, a little vice versa there. And then there was the one forfeit from HDS, but they had two players, so if we actually still allowed 2v2s, we would have had a no forfeit week. The last time we had a no forfeit week was, I think, season 2, which is crazy. For those wondering, HDS, I've decided to keep them here. Plan for them is that I hope that they are going to get some more players. If not, then we will find what we can do with that. But I think the general consensus from our staff is that they are going to stay. Holy, I mean, there were so many great games. I can't even believe it. Honestly, we should do a rundown. It started out, the first game of the season started out with a 4v4 on Mud Gulch, E2G versus BLZ. It was so intense. I mean, the amount of intensity it was absolutely insane. So it started out, E2G, I think, won the first round. And then basically from then on out, it was just really a back and forth. BLZ would run around, and then E2G would come back and win 2 more rounds, and then BLZ would win 2 more, and then it came down to 3-3, and then it came down, I think, all the way to the last 1v1. And what ended up happening was E2G won 4-3 somehow, in some way. They clutched up, got the dub. So congratulations to them. They took out probably one of the best teams in the league. So congratulations to them. Then we had, I think, PLG versus CEO. PLG coming back from the dead. They've been dead for maybe 2 years, and they came back, and they were here to fight. They were up 1-0, but CEO had a really good lineup. I'm really excited to see what PLG does, because I think they're a team with a lot of potential, and if they can get some of their OGs back, I think they'll be a really, really good competitor for the league. Then I think we had EGS versus USA, which was another great game, really intense. It ended up being 4-2 USA. EGS was the new team, and I think they did a really good job compensating for the fact that I think they were all players that have never played with each other. So it was really great to see. Now there's an EGS server now, so that's exactly what we wanted. That was the plan, and it all laid out perfectly. We'd find a team leader who would be able to lead a team that was not really built of the best players, but built of players who wanted a chance in the league, and they just couldn't get it elsewhere. They would put their stats in team recruitment. They would try and get tryouts, but it's really hard to make the starting lineup. So we wanted to give the opportunity for teams, or for players, to hop on a team, hop on a lineup, and start playing in these games. And I think there's so much potential in all these players. And that does kind of defeat the purpose of pre-league. So that's what we're doing with pre-league, and we're basically making a bigger version of the exhibition team. But the goal for each season is that there's a new exhibition team. So this one is probably going to change names and logos at the end of the season and completely form a different team. So, and then of course next season we'll have another EGS. So it's really good to see how these player bonds have just sort of shaped teams and shaped team chemistry, lineup chemistry, and all that. So it was really good. But yeah, we'll see where USA and EGS go this season. They're probably not favorites to win it out, but honestly, we'll see. Then we had, I think it was it BBQ versus NBA? Yes, it was. So that one was an insane game, not because it was intense, because NVA took out the number one champs BBQ. I mean, there's no way. How does a team do that? I mean, that is absolutely insane. It shocked me to the core that NVA was able to get 4 round wins consecutively without like a hitch. There was like barely any kills and deaths. It was insane. So I'm really excited to see how NVA does this season. Phobia, absolute clutch for NVA. So we'll see what she does. And then we went to the Sunday games. So Sunday games went pretty well. It started out with a forfeit because HDS only had 2 players. And then we had, I believe, Pulse versus GodX, which is extremely close. Ended up being 4-3 Pulse. So I'm excited to see how those 2 teams do this season. Then we had Haz versus Fate. Fate coming out of the water with Drill absolutely destroying on the shotgun. And then that ended up being 4-2 Fate. And then the last game was 4-2 EXL over TK. EXL Zuma absolutely destroying once again. I think he's definitely a competitor for MVP, so we'll certainly see how he does. But that's just the way it is. And those were all the games. So you can hear it in my voice. Like, there's so many great teams, so many great players. I'm so excited to see how these teams do. But moving on, I want to talk about sort of this idea of Tide League possibly becoming the new future primary league for Shell Shockers. I know Shell League has been for the past 3 years like the like primary league, but Shell League's not doing great so far. I get all the inside access, and I'm telling you right now, Shell League is not doing that great. So many players are, saying, oh, it's because the player base is dying. Oh, the comp scene is just, it's dead right now. Well, I have the proof that it's not. Tide League just had a week with 7 games played. All 3v3s and 4v. I mean, that's insane. I don't think it's the player base. I think it just has to do with the league itself. Like, it comes with running a league that you have to be able to find that sort of tempo where the teams are in a comfortable place when it comes to scheduling. And I think all these teams are really active. It's just sometimes I think they get a little carried away, and, they think, oh, well, the scheduled start time is, this, and this, so we'll come 5 minutes after that. No, you have to show up early, because most of the time we really don't have a lot of time to just, sit around. The only time we have time to sit around is when there's forfeits, and even then, we're updating the stats sheet. We are doing a lot of things, maybe hosting different events and stuff while streaming. So there's so much that happens during the games that I don't think people are really aware of. But I'm just saying that I think that Tide could possibly move up in the ranks, and just I think it could be very, very good in the long run if we just continue to do what we've done. But honestly, we'll see. I don't know the future of the league, but right now it's looking pretty bright. So we'll continue what we're doing. That's all I will say. So I also wanted to talk about some new aesthetics for Tide League videos and then streams. So if you've watched our streams, you'll see that the scoreboard it's okay. It's clean. We use the same one. We're not switching like weirdos. We're using the same exact asset. All the streamers use the same thing, but it could be a bit better. So I was talking with Coyote, the stream manager, and then our design manager, Alert, about possibly making some updates. So we are possibly going to do something that no other league has done that I know of. Maybe Shelly has done it. But we are working on creating a script that would provide a replay system. That's right, a replay. So what that would mean is that, say there was a really great shot, and maybe we want to see that again right on stream instead of clipping it and then watching the clip on stream. Well, at the click of a button, what if we were to just be able to replay the last 15 seconds of the round? That would be pretty good. And even better, what if we were able to replay a certain point? I don't know if we're allowed to do, or not allowed, but I don't know if we are able to do that. But it is certainly possible, and it's certainly something that we are working on. So, I think that it is possible, and I think I've seen it. There's a clip floating out there of a replay system, but it's a matter of really, do we try and get that code, or do we create our own code? It's just a matter of how do we incorporate it. And then the other thing is new round transitions. So if you've watched our YouTube videos of the games and stuff, you'll see that the round transitions, they're okay, but they could be a bit cleaner, and they could be a bit, what can I say, more aesthetically pleasing, So what we are planning on doing is possibly making a round transition that would just sort of be like a stinger. It's something that we are working on. I'm going to try and see if there's like a template floating around out there, but no guarantees. I don't really know how to make stingers, and I don't really plan on learning how, but it's something that I will eventually have to learn. We are creating a lot of stuff. I think the Tide graphics are pretty good right now, but there are still some things that we wish to get updated. Let's see. So you guys all heard me talk about how PLG is reviving after 2 years of being dead. Well, the next topic is bringing back old clans. Is it really worth to revive them? It's a question that I've gotten asked. I think it is. I will go out on a limb and I will say it's a good idea, because it could, one, bring back the OG members of that team if you're lucky. Maybe they still play, maybe not. But two, and the major reason, is because there are a lot of people that wanted to be on those teams but couldn't. Well, now it sort of gives them the chance. Tide has seen quite a few OG teams brought back. There have been a few unintentional OG teams that were brought back, like USA. USA is not, like, the current USA is not the Shellig USA. It's a completely different team. The current PLG team is a bit of the same, a bit of not. It's filled with a bit of subs, but they're still really good players. So don't diss them. They're all very good players. But in regards to reviving like teams that were dead for a while or disbanded quite a while back, I would say it's a good idea. Maybe not teams that have a bad rep. I mean, PLG is definitely one of those that have a bad rep, but I think that the amount of popularity it had, I think it basically covers up. So PLG is here to stay, and I think they're gonna do a great job. It's just a matter of finding that chemistry with the players. I've always said, you could have the worst lineup of players, but if they have good chemistry and they're able to scrim well, they're one of the best teams right there. It's true, you just have to find that good chemistry, and there you go. But I think it's a good idea, and I would love to see some more. Imagine if like Buzz came back. G4L was in Tide League EU and they almost won, but they got stopped by NCR. Pre-League, I think an old Has team revived, yeah, and they're currently in Shell League or Tide League right now. RBL, they came back. PML, they came back. I don't think Aries is coming back, but honestly, we'll see. I don't know. I think that's all the Tide League clans that revived. I'm not entirely sure if that's all of them, but I think it's all of them. But yeah, I think it's a good idea. So the final topic, and like I said, this is gonna be a really short episode. is the Stats Show. Everybody knows we're bringing back the Stats Show. It's coming back. We will be releasing the first episode on Thursday morning, 9 a.m. because it's called the Morning Stats Show for a reason. No, we do not like make it the morning of. We make it a few days before, and then we just publish it and schedule it, so we don't have to worry about doing it on like Wednesday night at like 2 a.m. in the morning. So it is in the editing phase. Everything's been recorded. We need to edit it. So that'll be up on Thursday, and then Friday is gonna be the Mists montage. Oh my gosh, I am looking forward to it. You guys have seen leaks about it. You guys have heard the Mist is getting a montage for his 8-kill week, and we are working on it. We are actually going to be working on it right after this, so that's why I wanted to keep it pretty short. But I think it's awesome. I think it's absolutely awesome. But basically, the question was really, how can we make it more worthwhile? I think a lot of people watch the Stats Show, but it's kind of boring, you know? It's just sort of me or Andy or Holdy or, blank whoever, just really talking about stuff and talking about things that maybe newer players wouldn't understand because they have never seen the league. So what we're trying to do is sort of talk about these games, but also maybe giving an analysis of some of the plays. I think that it is something that we could do, like, playing a play or having a round. That's the word I was looking for. A round on the screen, and then what we would do is we would sort of like draw arrows, like saying, "Oh, the Mist is going to be going here, but he's going to get some support from the RPEG, and you'll see that the RPEG cross maps, and that'll open up the room for the P90 to go, and arrows and stuff." So I think that's something we could do. It's difficult because it requires a bit more editing, but it's something that we can do, and it's something that we might try out. But I think this stats show, what you'll find is sort of just like, you'll see some clips from games, just sort of like thrown together. And then of course like the standings analysis. It should only be about a 5-10 minute episode. So I hope you guys enjoy it. It will be fun. But yeah, Thursday morning, 9 a.m. So yeah, I think those are all the topics. There's not really that many questions that from the TideCast forum that I really feel like I need to answer. I think it's pretty self-explanatory, some of them. But if you have any questions, leave them in chat. I see a question from Exploration. He asks, are you allowing teams to change names during the season? Yeah, teams can change the names. I would prefer that you only do it maybe like once or twice. Really once is like my max. Reason being is because it's annoying to have to update the 3 things that teams get. So teams receive a scheduling logo. So basically what that means is, like, on all of the graphics, thumbnails for YT, some Twitch things, like, you'll all receive an emoji of the team logo, and then you'll receive the fancy little cropped logo next to the role. Those are here to stay. We will always be at level 2 boost, so that'll be good. I don't know about level 3. We've maintained it for the past 2 months, but I don't know when we'll be able to really like confirm that we are going to stay at level 3 long term. Right now it's really up in the water, or up in the air. I mean, yeah, like, I got a message today from Discord saying that, hey, your server's losing a level. I've gotten that about 4 times in the past month, so it's really annoying, but it's a reminder that we aren't always gonna stay at this. But yeah, you're allowed to change names. It's just annoying. That's really my answer. But yeah, you can change names all you want. Yeah, if there's any more questions, I can answer them. If not, I can give you the little leak. I was gonna talk about the BWD thing, but I don't know if I am allowed to. You know what? I will say a bit of it. Basically, BWD has offered up a little partnership with a few leagues. So Tide League was the first league. No need to brag, but Shell League and Tide League both got partnerships. So and then there's a few other leagues. I'm not entirely sure who. But yeah, all it really is just I get a special role. And then I think what comes with a certain rank. So basically, like your league is ranked. I've already said really too much, but it doesn't really matter. It'll get leaked eventually. But basically, like I think what will happen eventually is that leagues will be able to prove their worth. So basically, like, you know, if you can prove that your league is not toxic and, you know, it's running consistent tournaments that are fair, there's no hackers, you know, that type of thing, then you start to increase your reputation, get good rep, and then you're able to possibly get some more promotion from BWE, such as in-game items, stream promotions, and stuff like that. So yeah, Tide was lucky enough to be chosen. Tide OC and Tide League, and then I think Tide League EU is going to be joining in the fun. But yeah, it'll be very, very fun. Yeah, that's my little explanation about what that's all about. If you have any more questions, just leave them in chat. If not, I'm going to give you guys a leak of the episode. So we are planning a 1v1 tournament. That is correct. We are going to basically be having a big 1v1 tournament with a bunch of people, as many people as the world sees fit. So yeah, if we had like 300 people, we'll make it work. But it'll be during the off season. It will not be during this season. But basically, it's gonna be pretty fun. There's gonna be prizes for I think the top 5 winners. If there's only about like 100 people that enter, we'll do prizes for top 3. But if there's like 250 people that enter up, then we will do prizes for like the top 5 people. But you know, hopefully first place, it might be something anywhere between like an albino pistol to possibly a flame crack shot or something like that, flame AUG. Maybe even a flame nade when it comes out. I don't actually know if the flame AUG is out, but I don't think it is. So yeah, that's something that will come. There's going to be more details on that in coming months. We're still in the planning phase, but it's sort of been on hold because season 5 is underway, and that's really where our focus has been. But it's something that is in the works, and it's something that we are planning on doing at some point during the off season. So yeah, that's my leak to you. That was a really big leak. Normally I leak like, oh, there's gonna be an event, you know, with a small little prize, you know, stuff like that. But that's a big leak. So next episode I'll have to do a little, you know, tiny little leak. Nothing really too much. But yeah, that is basically it. As I said, short episode. Yeah, thank you guys for showing up. And I will see you guys in the next episode. And if you want, you can watch the TideCast, or not the TideCast, the stats show. You can also see me commentating on most of the videos. So yeah, that's basically it. And we will see you guys later. See ya. Of course, as common tradition, we always normally go over the games and stuff, but you know, a lot of the games were just sort of okay. I mean, I actually didn't see most of them, but there were a lot of good games. Let's see, where should we begin? I think yeah, we should just talk about the season. So yeah, the regular season is coming to an end. So we're in week 5 right now, which means we have one more week after this week, and then we go into playoffs, which is absolutely crazy. So the topic sort of relating to that is How should teams get prepared for playoffs? Um, so for some teams, like it's already confirmed, like they're definitely going to go to the playoffs. But for others, it's sort of like up in the air. So they sort of have to get another win or something. And for some teams, like they could possibly get in if they get 2 wins. So they really gotta like crunch in. But for the teams that are definitely confirmed going to the playoffs, and for the teams that like think they're gonna, come out victorious and head to the playoffs, I would say just having your lineup, and maybe not changing the lineup too much. So like having the same lineup for every game is really it's gonna work unless like you find that you need to make some changes. Like maybe you wanted to win or maybe you wanted to win with a little bit better of an outcome. Like maybe it was 4-3 and you thought you could win 4-1. Maybe you want to make some changes. But overall, like, you just want to have like the same sort of people that you've had for however long the lineup has been around for your team. So you don't want to be making like major switches. This is definitely not the time to make major switches to your lineup or roster in general. But yeah, just stay active, make sure that your team is ready, and you should be good. Playoffs last 1 week, so it really just is. It's a quick in and out, and then we're done with the season. It just came up so quickly. But yeah, it was a fun season. A lot of good stuff, but also a lot that we can just generally work on. So, but I think overall it went pretty well, and so I'm looking forward to seeing the next few weeks and seeing how they go before playoffs, and then we move right into it and see what happens. But that's just generally how all teams should prepare. So I've been talking to a lot of people about like just generally having a new generation of players, and I think that it is desperate at this point. I think that we should have like a full-on new generation. I've been in this generation for its entirety. This is sort of known as Generation 2. It's been around since maybe early 2021. That's like when the bulk of the players came, but it was mainly in late 2020 when Shell League Season 7 was sort of happening. That was when most of the new players started to filter in. And that was just sort of a bunch of newer players that have been in the community, but they haven't really seen it. And so I think that, they've been around for about a year and a half now, and I think it's great. Except I think we're in dire need of a new generation. And I've always said like there's a way to get these players, and they're pub players. That is the new generation. That is the next generation of players. So I think we desperately need that. And if we can't get it, I don't think we will have this competitive scene last much longer. So yes, I do really think that a new generation of players is needed in order to really further develop the competitive community, because there's a lot in the works, but when you're running a 12-team league, it's kind of just dry, there's not as much competition. So, I think that there's maybe 10,000 to 20,000 competitive prospects out in pubs right now. And, I think they're all willing to further develop their game and their knowledge of the game. And I think they can get more skilled. And so, a lot of them just don't know where they can find the outlet. Like, they don't know how to find Shell League. They don't even know that it exists sometimes. But I think, if you're a pub player that has known about Shell League, you're probably going to have joined the server. It's not that hard to find. I mean, you can honestly just search up Shell League in Google and you'd find it. But for those who just don't know, like maybe you're a new player, maybe you haven't heard of it ever, like, you wouldn't know where to access it because you have no idea it exists. Like, you didn't think that there's this whole other side of the game, and there's a way to further your skill in the game. So I think sort of guiding the outlet, and one way that is possible is through what is called a one signal, or just like a notification. So what this is it's a notification that is sent out to all Chrome browsers, or I guess just all Chrome browsers that are hooked up with Shellshockers accounts. So like if you have a Shellshockers account and you have like desktop notifications enabled for Shellshockers, you'd essentially get a notification at any given point in time that says, join Shell League, or Shell League is looking for a new whatever. I haven't seen one of them in a while, but like that is basically what they are. And it was recently announced to some Shell League staff that Coop Kings is most likely going to be getting 5 of these one signals. So what that would mean is that um, there will be 5 of those notifications sent out at different points in the year. And to show you sort of like statistics, or at least like tell you, there was a one signal for Shell League recently, actually, back in early August, I think, at some point during the summer, this past summer in 2021, before Wex nuked, there was a one signal, and it was just, there was so many players that joined. I mean, there was maybe 3,000 to 4,000 new players, and that was just one of those. So like, think if we were to get 5, that could potentially increase the amount of players to possibly 10,000 to 15,000. I mean, that's crazy. And then, of course, like once a Discord server really hits like 15,000 members, there are clear statistics showing that if the server remains active, or at least like continues to grow activity wise, it'll just grow by itself member count. So as long as it's staying active, as long as it's being talked about outside of the server itself, Discord invites are getting posted all over the place, partnerships are being made with other massive servers like it, that's going to just grow on its own, because that's just how servers work. Like Valorant, for example, it got to a certain point and it just, like, there was no more partnerships needed to be made. Like, it just started growing, and it is now one of the biggest, if not the biggest, Discord server out there. You can't actually even join it. There's 800,000 members in the server, and it is so big that Discord cannot let anybody else in it. So it's really cool. So I think, yeah, we really do need a new generation of players, or else, I think the competitive scene might just die in of itself. So yeah, that's my thoughts on it. If any of the other speakers want to chime in on that, that's fine. I think it's a pretty broad topic about this new generation. So nobody. All right.
So I respectfully disagree that the new generation of players is pub players. I just don't think they're gonna be the new generation, or they should be the new generation.
Well, that is actually true. I mean, there's definitely a lot of pub players who are just hackers, and I think that it is pretty clear that there does need to be like a new generation. It's just, how do we find them? And I think pub players has just sort of been my thought, because it's either that, or we try and include like other players of different IO games, or like just different games in general. But I think like just hitting first the Shell Shockers market itself, because that's one less step that we have to do. Like, because now, if you're like a Valorant player and you come into Shell League, like, you don't have to learn about what the game is. You sort of have to like learn how to play it. You'll catch on pretty easily, but it'll still take some time. And then on top of that, you have to learn about Shell League. Like, for pub players, you already know how to play the game. You just have to learn about the rules of the league. And I think after that, you it's just up to you. Somebody might create a clan, and then that'll get big, and then that'll just spiral into more. Because the goal was always that we had the most active clans, but we had a lot of them. So, there's a great thing about an 8-team league, or like a 10-team league. If they're all active and you have no forfeit, that's great. But that limits the amount of competition. It sort of limits the amount of possibilities for that league to increase their rosters, to include, or increase their league capacity to include more teams. So I think Tide League is doing a good job at just making sure that the competition is being leveled out. Because right now, we don't really know who's going to win the league. It's pretty up in the air right now. So, we'll certainly see in 3 weeks. Whatever happens. But, I think that spreading out the competition is a lot more valuable than just having one team that's going to destroy everybody else, and just, not have like any forfeits at all. Like, that's great. It's just, there's one team that's just going to destroy everybody. So what's the point, So I don't really know. But, I really think we need need a new generation at some point. I just, I think that's the only way that this community will survive. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there will be like a spark. But I think if we're going to make any drastic changes, it needs to be when there's a community involved that is bigger and more alive, I guess, is the word I'm looking for. But yeah. Nobody else has anything to say. The pre-league topic is the next one. And the topic was mainly about creating it as a feeder and building it to be a feeder into Tide League. And that sort of connects to the previous question about if we need a new generation. And I think it's interesting, though, because a lot of people have been asking, like, hey, what's going on with Pre-League? And, we are actually all ready. Like, we can just make the server. We can code the bot. Like, that's all we really need. It's just we don't exactly know how we're going to do it when there's a dry generation. Like, there's not that many players that are really wanting to play in the league right now. So we are looking to at least just find that suitable generation. And I still think that we need a new generation of players. This one is getting really old really quickly. So whatever means possible, like I think we need to do that. But I think, we've sort of discussed what the pre-league format is in the last TideCast, and the previous one, which will be uploaded to YouTube after we figure out a copyright strike violation on our YouTube. It was from a Twitch stream, so we have to figure that out before we really post any more TideCasts, or really any videos in general. But it should be fine. But essentially, like, for the most part, we really need a wider array of players. That's just the basis of what this is all about. And it really does not help that Tide League was just recently nuked. It's fine, we've recovered. It's really just, it wasn't that bad. But I think going forward, if we want to come back from it, I think that we really need to strive to make some leaps in getting some members. So if that means making some giveaways and having some fun little events to increase activity, that's what we'll do. It's just we need to find that way, and I think the way is just by generally finding these outlets and finding where these players are. So I think overall, this small little podcast is mainly just about the fact that it's a dying generation, and there's so much great things that came out of this generation, but at the same time, we sort of lost track of where we are as a generation as well. I generally think that we need to be more vigilant and more apparent to the fact that, our generation of players is just sort of like not here anymore. Like, we've lost so many players, and it is so true that we need to find more. And I think there are players out there. It's just we don't know how to entice them to join the league. We don't know how to really make it seem like it's easy to join the league, because I think a lot of players, that's another thing. Like, there are currently new players in the league. It's just they don't really understand that, like, leagues are not a clan. You don't try out for a league. I've gotten DMs like, hey, can I try out for Tide League? Like, those types of DMs, those are the ones that sort of just make me think, like, God damn, like, what am I doing wrong? How am I not explaining this to these people that's not what a league is all about? And it sometimes just ticks me off, because it makes me feel bad at the same time. It just makes me feel like, maybe they just gotta read. Like, I think we've explained it. I think we have channels. I think we have resources. Like, you can always just ask a staff member, hey, like, I'm a bit confused about this. Can you explain it to me? Like, they'll all be willing to help you out. But it's just like, it's just annoying because we try and make it so obvious, and we try and make it easy for people to read without us having to tell them. Because, like, some of these resources are not going to always be here. Like, I'm not always going to be here. So someone's got to pass on the legacy, and I don't think it's going to be me. But, I think that overall, we need to find a way to entice people into the league and entice more players to just join in general. Maybe we don't want like a a mountain of players right now, but we do need a decent amount that will get us to have that mountain of players. So like essentially these five signals that I was talking about earlier, like those could potentially boost the league and Shell League in general, potentially up to 20,000 members. I mean, those would be massive for the league, for the server, for the community. But the issue is that with those members comes a huge amount of people that have no idea. Like the ratio of people that know that what Shell League is and knows what it's all about compared to the ratio of like people who have no clue, like that ratio is like it's like 20 to 1. Like that it would essentially be 20 to 1. Like there would be 20,000 people who have no idea what Shell League is, and I think that's a problem. I think that is a massive problem, and I think that is why we need to get some scrim videos on like, okay, this is how you scrim, this is how you this is how you find where you can join a team. This is how you make a team. This is how you apply your team for the people who already have a team. Like these things need to be made. And right now, Tide League at most has most of those done, except we just don't know when the right time to post it is because, we have not seen a new generation. So we're just waiting for that moment. When it does happen, we will be ready and we will post it. But for the time being, I think that right now, it's just, I don't see it ever happening. But the gist is, we're doing everything right, except we're doing it all for a generation of players that is just not here or is just dying. And it's unfortunate, but every single league, every single community is dealing with it. They're dealing with the fact that there are now maybe at most 20 teams that are decently active, and maybe 10 of those are active enough to be playing in every single week of a league. And I would say maybe 5 of them are actually like really good teams. But it is something that you live through. There's also alts. There's a bunch of alts which can't really be stopped. Like you can't tell someone that they can't alt, because if you ban their main, they can just alt again. Like that's the thing. Like you can't tell someone that they can't alt because they're just gonna do it again. That's just gonna be a commonality, and that's just gonna happen, because that's the way this community works. The one thing that you can prevent is hacking. Creating trust with your players, assuring them that they don't need hacks to advance their skill level, or they don't need hacks to at least win a game. Like giving them the outlet. There has to be a winner and loser. That's just how sports works. But like you can make it so that there's optimism from it. Like, so a loss becomes an optimistic view for that player, and says, well, I lost this game, but I'm going to come back better next week. Not really as, well, I lost this game, now I'm going to sulk and I'm going to leave every server. Like, we wanted to try and encourage players to come back better, and even with a win, like, don't make it a sore win. Like, don't make it where players are like, oh, that was so easy. Like, that team is so bad. Like, that one player, he couldn't even hit me. Like, he kept on missing. He's so bad. Make it more of, like, a win that's, that was a good game. I think the other team played well. There was a lot of potential for those players. But, we maybe had the upper hand. Not making it as, like, a cocky win. I see it so much. Like, people just do this because why not? The OG players just continue playing because they know that they can get here. Like, they know they can get codes and stuff. And that's why I've always been like, maybe we shouldn't have, like, the rarest codes, because it could potentially just become a farming grounds for these good players. Like, why would we have a Tide MVP stamp when probably just another OG player is going to get it? Like, that's not fair to the players who are actually making the attempt to really get onto a team, or making the attempt to win something. I've seen it so many times, where like, We've given codes to the team leaders after the season, and a player that did a really good job for their team, they didn't get a code, and someone who barely played got a code over them because they were friends with the owner. Like, we've seen that, and it hurts us because it makes us feel bad. Like, it makes us feel like we did something wrong, even though we know we did it. We're just doing what we have to. It's so unfortunate, you know. I absolutely hate it when, you know, just nobody ever really just, you know, cares anymore to really play the game. But, you know, it's a hole that everything is just sort of in right now, and we're gonna get out of it. But we really just need a new generation of players. Like, I'm gonna continue to say that until I see it. You know, we need that new generation. But it's gonna come. I'm optimistic. You know, we're gonna continue doing our thing. We have a 12-team format for next season that is similar to the Shell League Swiss style, but it's for 12 teams, so it's a bit different, and it's pretty cool. So I hope you guys will like that. There's gonna be a whole new video on it probably in about a month when the season ends. We are gonna release team apps. We are gonna limit it to 12 teams, so we might have to disband some active teams, or move like the 2 lowest ranked teams to like sub teams or something like that. So it's gonna be really good. I'm really looking forward to everything, but you know, we have to make these things happen. So that is pretty much it. Unless anybody else has something to say, I'm going to pretty much end it. It was a nice little 25-minute episode. There were a few questions, but I think those can be answered by some staff members. If not, I can just you can just DM me. It's fine. But yeah, thanks guys, and I will see you guys in the next one.